Hello, everybody. Welcome to the webinar. I'm excited to be here. And this is a really special one because we are sponsored. We're so grown up now by the Equine Institute. They are amazing. It's science-based education led by veterinary-based work on a focus on horse health, physiology, and bodywork. They are amazing. So do check out the Equine Institute, and we're really happy to partner with them today. So we're going to dive in shortly about the moments that matter, reading those small signs. And for those of you that have been to one of our webinars before, you'll know that this is something that I am so passionate about. And we could literally teach on this every single week. There's so much to learn about animal physio, the way that they communicate with each other, the signs that they use. It's the way that I help understand the species better. It's the way that I help my students understand their partner better. And remember, you and your horse, you're completely unique. There's no other pairing like yours. So learning to read these little signs is really important. But first of all, I want to share a story with you of something that happened today. And I like to think that I never stop learning with horses. And well, what I saw today was incredible. We're often told that horses are kind of a little bit selfish in the herd. As long as they feel safe, that's all they care about. Well, today I went to get my horses in, and they live on a really big piece of land, which is wonderful. But I whistle them, and normally they come flying for their breakfast. And they didn't show. And I thought, that's really strange. So up I go, walking up this great big steep hill. I get to the brow of the hill and I can see Branna, my mare, and then I could see Blue, her friend, and I could just in the background see the head of our Arabian Atlantis. So I thought, well, they're all there. What are they doing? Anyway, Branna whinnied to me. I thought, great, they've seen me. Now they'll come. So I go back down, still no horses. I thought, uh-oh. So I walk all the way around, and sure enough, Atlantis has jumped the fence and put himself in another field. He does this sometimes. But Branna had stayed right beside him at the fence. Now, in the past, when he's done this, she had left him and come in for her breakfast. She loves her food. And he got really, really upset last time that happened, to the point where we had to walk him out, calm him down, hose him. He'd got into such a state. This time she didn't do that. This time she stayed with him, and she stayed perfectly in harmony with him, matching his movements. And anytime he tried to move or start running, she would stop him with her own body language. It was fascinating. When she saw me, she whinnied and knew that everything was going to be okay and I was going to make him feel better. So as soon as I arrived, she left for her breakfast. Now, why am I telling you this story? Because it's a moment that matters. So that's the picture that I want you to hold in your head as we go through these training scenarios. Okay, think about that horse helping out that other horse. They seek comfort, safety, understanding, friendship. But the level of thought that it took for her to want to stay with her friend and make them feel better, they are sentient beings. And I really want you to hold on to that when we're looking at all of the things that we can do in training our horses. We're not engineering a machine here. We're dealing with an animal that has their own energy. They have their own experiences. They have their own life. And for the most part, we're not in it. Horses that live out in a herd, that have friends and freedom and forage, they're not with us for, maybe 22 hours a day. Some horses get to be with their people for longer, but most, it's maybe an hour a day. So they've got a lot going on in their life when we are not there. And then we come along and they notice our energy. They notice our timing. They notice our emotions, the way we use pressure, our clarity. And do you know what they notice more than anything? Our kindness. how we make them feel. Horses learn by association. How does your horse associate you? How did he associate you today or tomorrow? So I just want you to remember we are talking about living beings with a life and experiences of their own as we go into this training. So welcome all of you. I've just seen popping up all the different places that you're from. It's absolutely wonderful. So we're going to get started here with a PowerPoint to show you some of these. And I want you to get involved. I want you to know there's no such thing as a silly answer. Okay, just say what comes into your mind and think about it. See how it makes you feel, the photos that we're going to look at. So we're going to respond in ways to our horses that respect the relationship, but we're going to build it on the feedback that they are giving us and learning to read those small signs. That's a really vital piece of that. People that do a mentorship with me, I do an 8-week mentorship with students and their horses. They learn to read the unique signs that your horses give. And every horse is different. They all have go-tos. Okay, they're just like we have catchphrases we use or certain mannerisms. Our horses are the same, and it's our job to learn how they communicate best. So I'm going to start with sharing some photographs where we can have some fun and see what it is that you guys are seeing. Then we're going to talk about the concept of traffic lights. We've touched on it before, but we're going to go in a little deeper. And then we're going to look at a before and after video of a student, a very fabulous student who has a very young horse who has been through quite a bit of training that perhaps they didn't enjoy. And she has found a new way with him. And we're going to get to see the before and after of that. So that will be really, really cool. So now I have to do the technical part of sharing my screen. So just hang in with me for a moment because it's not my best talent. Okay, here we go. Hopefully you guys can all see that screen and we are going to dive on in. Okay. Let me start up at the beginning and here we go. So moments that matter, reading calming signals, micro signals, the traffic lights and responding with feel. That's what we're going to talk about of like, it's great to notice these things, but what do we do in that moment? So very fancy slide there. So why signals matter. Horses, they speak in tiny movements, not in words. This is something that I talk to a lot with my students. People will send in their videos and I can hear a lot of chatter, a lot of talking to the horse and explaining to the horse what they're doing. Those words don't mean anything to your horse. Yes, they can probably understand the tone. They can probably feel your energy through them of where you are on an emotional scale. But what they don't understand is the words. And I've even seen people maybe give the horse a bit of an aversive because they've not understood the verbal communication. We communicate verbally. The horses can learn words, of course, they can learn back and down and all sorts of things, but don't rely on it. Let's rely on what the feedback is that the horse is giving us and then the action that we take with our body. So our job is to notice, pause, and then respond without adding tension. Tension is very different to pressure. Tension comes from us. It comes from not releasing. And it comes from not understanding what the horse needs in that moment. It might also come from fear. Well, a great way to overcome fear is to educate yourself and to learn to see the small signals before behavior escalates. That's how we can feel safer. So what are we looking at with our horse? We are noticing the eyes. We're noticing the ears, mouth and jaw, neck and back, breath, feet and weight, tail, muscles, and breathing. That's where we're just going to start. And, you know, you guys can start training your eye now if you like. What are you seeing in this horse? This horse was called Riley, and he had an enormous startle response. He was in for training with Callie, and he was challenging to halter. So we were working on that. There is so much to see in this picture. From his eye to his ears, his mouth, his nostrils, his weight, his muscles. So feel free in the chat box to say what you see. And please don't think that there could be a silly answer. What we tend not to do is attach a story to it. This is something that we love to do as humans. We love to go, well, I bet the horse was feeling this. You know, we can think about those things, but we don't really know. All that we can control is how we respond to the things that we see. So here I'm seeing a horse that is leaning his weight away from me. He's at liberty. Okay, so likely, unless I do something different, that horse is going to leave me. Okay, so that's one thing I would notice as a trainer. I'm looking at his eye. He looks a little worried. The eye was quite starey. You can see the sclera, the white of the eye around his eye, and his ears. They're kind of focusing behind him. They're not pinned in anger. People sometimes will say, oh, is he pinning his ears? No, he's not angry. He's not pinning his ears. For me, I read this as he's looking for a bit of an escape route. Okay. Plus, listening to noises behind him. Horses do many things. They're using all of their senses all of the time. They feel the wind on them. They feel the ground under their feet. They can hear the sounds way more than we can. Those ears can pivot around. His vision and his smell as well. Let's not underestimate that. Take a little look at his mouth here. Sorry, I'm drying out here. Look at the tension in his nose, how elongated those nostrils are. Have you ever noticed that in your horse and maybe not realized? The tension is rising. So we can do things now. He was actually, if you were stood beside him and you didn't know to read these signs, you might think, oh, he's okay. He's quite quiet. There was a lot going on inside. So what did I do next? I wonder if any of you can guess what might have happened, of what I could have done to make him feel better at this point. So feel free to write that into the chat box. What I did was retreat. I rocked back onto my back foot and just took the pressure off him, because this is pressure. People often think, oh, I don't train my horse with pressure because I don't use escalating scale of pressure to insist. Oh, you're using pressure. Your eyeballs are pressure. Leaning in with your inside leg pushing in towards the horse, just pushing that hip forward, that's pressure. Okay, so there's a lot going on. And he was also holding his breath. Breath is a big one. And you know, breath is a great one when you're riding. You can often feel it through your lower leg. You can feel whether they're holding their breath. So, common signals. Blinking. Sometimes they can go quite starry-eyed, and that's when I think, uh-oh. I like my horses to be able to change focus. Okay, so that means, can they pay attention to what's listening over there? Can they track the tractor that's walking by, or are they a little frozen? Now, I want you to know, calming signals, it doesn't mean the horse is stressed. Calming signals can show when a horse is relaxed. Sometimes they can have like a little flurry of blinking and they're just thinking. It's not bad things. It's not always bad. Yes, if the horse is under a lot of pressure, they're scared, you're going to see a whole bunch of calming signals. This is work that's been done by Raquel Drasma. She's an amazing woman. I recommend her book highly. calming signals in horses. But people tend to think, oh no, there's a calming signal, it must be bad. No, the horse can be relaxed and still show a calming signal. It just means that they are regulating themselves or regulating the situation around them. So licking and chewing, that's always a big one people talk about all the time. Oh, they've just learnt their lesson. That's why they're licking and chewing. No, it can mean many things. Um, One of my mentors, what she always said to me was, let's just say they're feeling a little bit better now than they did a moment ago. So it's not a bad thing when they're licking and chewing. If you've just been using unethical pressure and forcing your horse using fear and intimidation, and then they lick and chew, you bet that's a release of tension and concern. But not everything means the same thing. So they can lick and chew after they've just scratched themselves because they feel a little bit better than they did before. So it's looking at it all on a scale. Swallowing, sighing. Have you ever done that with your horse where you take a great big deep breath and blow out and they do the same? It's the coolest. I live for those moments. That's my Olympic gold medal when I get those. So again, not necessarily a bad sign. Head turning and neck bending away. If I could give you one thing that I see in nearly every student's horse that isn't read correctly, it's the horse turning away. And it happens all the time. The horses have such a precious bubble around their head and we burst it all the time. They're bumping into their horses' heads. They're ducking under and smacking them on the chin as they come up. Think about how that would feel to you if someone just kept coming in and dinking your head here, there, and everywhere. You're going to get annoyed about that real quick. Why would they be any different? And actually, when you watch them together in a herd, in general, you always get that one that doesn't read the signals. But in general, they're very respectful of each other's heads. And you should be too. If your horse is turning their head away or they're bending away, you're just putting too much pressure on. Maybe you just need to take a step back out of their bubble, and quite often that head will just come back around. They'll use it as a calming signal as well, of like, I don't mean you any harm, like, let's just slow this down a little bit. So that's always one that I want to pay attention to, is like, oh, what have I done to cause that horse to turn away? They can also like show flank, turn completely sideways. Ear flicking. Sometimes they'll do a little, it can be seen as a little bit of a reset. Often that will come with a bit of a shaking as well, shaking of the head. So ears are fabulous tools for reading, but like everything, don't read them only on their own. People always go, oh, my horse is pinning his ears. It's not really pinning his ears. Yes, he's mildly annoyed. If those ears go lower than that neckline, then you want to look out. Then we're in trouble. Okay, if that's happening, keep yourself safe and we'll figure it out why that's happening. But don't read anything by itself. Look at it with other things. That's where observation will come on. Yawning. Yes, sometimes that is stress, but remember, everything in life is stressful. It doesn't mean it's a bad thing. You could be walking into your own birthday party and you know it's going to be absolutely fabulous and you feel that flutter, that excitement. You've got stress hormones at play there. Same with the horses. They might go, oh, I know we get to canter here, and they might love that. It's still stress. Okay, so it's not always bad. Sometimes it is. But I just want us to start looking at things in a slightly broader spectrum. So yawning, yes, you could have been doing something with your horse, and for a little while there, yawning was kind of really demonized. Oh no, the horse yawned. You've pushed him too hard. Not necessarily. With our Arabian, he loves to solve puzzles. He loves it, and he'll go and do it by himself, like figuring out how to like get the lead rope off something. And oftentimes afterwards, he will yawn, and it's a thinking process for him. So every horse is different. Okay, so this is me with a horse that was in my life called Zeus. Amazing, amazing rescue horse that I had. And What do you see here? Let's play a game and just look in. What are we looking at here? How does this horse, we're careful to not say how does he feel, but how is he presenting? What sort of mindset do we think he's in? I'm in a pretty happy, calm place. We were walking across Costa Rica at this point together. Amazing, amazing adventure. And a lot of people often say, oh, he looks great. He looks so happy. Yeah, I think he was, but there's more to it. We always want, have you noticed when we take photographs of our horses, we always want the ears up. We think that that is the holy grail. If the horse's ears are up, then they're interested. Yeah, but sometimes it can be, oh boy, what's going on? I need to really pay attention. So I feel in this one that he was slightly heading towards his threshold, the threshold being the edge of where he feels comfortable. So what I see is his head has come a little higher. So the headset, the posture, okay? His muscles were looking a little bit tighter. And look at the slight creases above the eye. He's really focusing. His ears are snapped forward. Nose is not too bad. I saw it a lot tighter. So he's not really worried, but he's definitely curious about something ahead with a slight wariness. And the other thing that happened, and this will happen if you start to have a really good trust relationship with your horse, he came closer to me. Now, I understand people don't want horses on top of them, but when I have a good relationship with a horse and they come a little closer, I feel like they're asking for a little bit of help. And what I did after this photograph, I put my hand up on his neck. I didn't pet him, I didn't pat him, I didn't scratch him, but I made a physical connection between us. And he blew out and was able to lower his head. So, yeah, he was walking along quite happy, but I just saw that headset come up and a real strong focus to the forward. So, had I have ignored all of that, who knows? It might have ended up escalating and be a spook. But what it would have highlighted to him was that I didn't notice. So horses trust in us when we can see and feel the things that they do. Be interested in what they're interested in. Pay attention to what they're paying attention to. Quite often, the old school way is like, don't let them look at anything. Keep the focus on you. You know, that's really hard for a horse to trust you if you never notice what it is that's concerning them. So you can look, you can watch and go, I think we're fine. Let's go. And that just extra bit of leadership there can really help them feel safe. So this was a horse that belonged to Callie. Some of you that have been to Honeybrook may remember Carly, but those of you that have new here, Carly was a wonderful horse. She was very stressy, but she was great. So I was working at Liberty with her here. So you can see I'm trying to get in harmony with her. That's a little tip that you can do straight away is match your horse's feet when you walk. And I know there's going to be those of you that go, I've got an off the track thoroughbred and their stride is so long and I'm 5'3". Just do the best that you can. You can always put two strides to their one, but if it feels rhythmic and in harmony, that's going to help. So what are we seeing here? So Carly's a bit of an interesting one. What I'm really noticing in her walk is that she is still heavily weighted to the left. Even though her right foot is about to go down, her body is weighted to the outside. So there's a likelihood here she might leave. Okay, look where her focus is. Have you ever been working with a horse or riding a horse and you've noticed them go like this with their head? And the amount of times I see people try and straighten the horse up, what they're trying to do is focus on something to the side of them. And people go, oh, but if you do that, if you let them do that, they're likely to spook. they're a lot more likely to spook if they're stopped from doing that because they haven't got to focus and assess and understand what it is that they're looking at. So if they can't see it, they go, well, I'd best get away from that until I know what it is that I'm looking at. So she's having a little look at something. So what this starts to tell me now, this is when lots of little things can mean different things. So yes, her weight is initially weighted to the outside, but now she's gone, oh, what's going on down there? What I did now is took one step further away and slightly backwards. Why do you think I might have done that? Okay. I always like my horses to have an escape route. Look at the ear closest to me. If she's worried about something, that is likely the direction that that shoulder and her body will travel if she wants to get away from whatever it is that she's looking at. Who's going to get run over if I stay where I am? Me. How do I know? Because it's happened to me before. I've learned a lot from experience with horses. I've been with horses for about 52 years. So, yes, I've had bad things happen, but you learn from them. So here, I look where my eyes are. I'm like, ooh, I've got a feeling she might spook. Now is not the time to try and make her feel better. It's time to make myself safe and give her an escape route. So there's a lot going on in that photo, isn't there? As it happened, she didn't spook particularly, not much. And we were able to carry on with the session. But I still paid attention to the weight on the left-hand leg. So I stopped for a little bit and spent some time gathering good feeling with her, scratching, picking at the little bits of grass around the outside of the arena. So there's lots that you can decide to do from the feedback that the horses give you. You can retreat. There's no shame in that. If that keeps you safe and your horse safe, that's what you do, because you can regroup and reapproach. Okay, traffic lights. You can have some fun here in the chat box. Red, stop. Amber, maybe. Green, proceed. So give me some examples of some signs that might be a red light from a horse, or an amber light, or a green light. You can do any of the ones that occur to you. So there is a whole gauntlet of behavior that horses present to us, and nearly all of them could be attributed to the traffic lights. So it's quite fun to figure out what is your horse telling you in that moment. So read the signs. Green is a yes answer. Soft eye, easy breathing, even steps. We could add in willingness. We could add in cooperation, responsiveness. Okay, so this picture was a very angry wild horse and a not so angry wild horse. And you can literally see, I think the horses at the back look like they're in amber. The grey horse is more of a green, and the roan is a definite red. So amber, not yet. Doesn't mean no, it just means I'm not sure. It's a not yet. The head is lifting. Freezing a little bit, tight mouth. You could essentially say this about the grey horse as well. Ears locked, frozen in place. Amber, not yet, can also mean flight. The horse walks away. I would say Carly just now, she was more of an amber. It's like, oh, I'm not sure. Okay. Red, that's a definite no. Stepping away, bolting, bracing, biting, pinning ears, all the behaviors that we really don't want to evoke in our horses. So red lights, I'm sure you've all had them. And they can be a red light and it can be subtle. It doesn't have to be full-blown dangerous behavior. But think now, honestly, hand on your heart, How many times have you pushed through a red light from your horse, a no from your horse? I have. Everything wrong that you could do with a horse, I've done it. The thing is to learn from it, to learn that if you push through a no, and I never say never, your life might depend on it. You know, the mountain might be on fire. There's no time for a conversation. So never say never. But if you're just out riding, your horse is saying no, or you're working on the ground, they're really saying no. Let's go deeper. Let's learn more about this horse. Why are they saying no? Are you emotional? Has he heard something that you haven't? Is there a vibration under the ground that you haven't heard? I had that with a student's horse that bolted. It was a no. They pushed it on and it bolted. And it turned out there was a ground working machine that was causing a vibration that horse felt under the ground. So don't look at everything as disrespect or the horse trying to get away with it or the horse trying to get one over on you. It's an outdated approach that suits a human narrative of powering over the horse. We can have a conversation. We can learn to relax our body so that the horse goes, oh, okay, maybe. And how about now? And it's a yes. Okay, so just keep that in mind. So how to proceed? Green light. You can ask. The horse is looking at you. They're asking a question. What's next? Their breathing is rhythmic. They're seeming like that they want to try. You can ask for something, but keep it small. Horses learn best in increments, in small amounts of time. Do like 2 minutes, take a break. 2 minutes, take a break. They learn the best that way. And guess what? It sets you up for success too. Why? Why does it set you up for success? Because you do something small, they try, let's say they get it, you bank it, and you have then taught that horse by association to feel better with you when they know you're not going to push them over the edge or ask too much. So it's a wonderful thing, a green light. Don't abuse it. Don't go, right, now the horse is saying yes, let's go. Okay, like a horse that's really sticky in canter and struggles with canter. When they finally get into canter, don't ask for 3 laps of the arena or a full canter up the hill. Ask for a little bit and then ask the horse to stop, bank the good feeling, and they will credit you with it. Amber, not yet. Okay, don't keep hammering away asking the same thing again and again with the same intensity and the same look on your face and the same body language if the horse is going, I don't think I can do this. Change something. You can always stop and just take a breath. Take a deep breath. Can you make it easier for the horse and break it down? Trust me, I really feel that when you have a certain level of trust with a horse, and I can really help you develop trust with your horse, it's the first thing we look at in our mentorship, in the mentorship with me is creating trust. It is never too late to turn things around with you and your horse. And when they start to build trust with you, then they're going to want to try. But they're only going to want to try if you're willing to bend a little bit and change and meet them where they are. We might not know why they can't say yes straight away. Maybe they have some learning anxiety from their previous life. Maybe, just maybe, you think you're asking them to do something in a way that they understand, but maybe your body's not being clear. Again, we can help you with that. So be ready to change something, make it easier, and then present it again. How about now? And see if your horse is willing to give it a try. If they are, again, don't be greedy. Reward the slightest try. You can always ask more later. We're not always going to just ask for a tiny thing. But if we're trying to build connection, build understanding, and read our horse, we've got to start small. Red, stop sign. Read those signs and just stop. Don't push through a big red light. That's how you get hurt. It's how you break trust. Trust takes a little bit of time to build, but you can break it like that. And then you've got a longer haul to rebuild it. And you can only break it so many times. Okay. So learn from it. If you make that mistake, say sorry to your horse. Just say, I'm so sorry, let me try again. Okay, so reading the signs, we don't want escalation. Okay, we don't want to push our horses into fight, flight, or freeze when we're training them. Invariably, you're going to make mistakes. It's okay. Don't beat yourself up about it. That's how we learn. But observation is key here. Paying attention, because the horse might be green and you think, awesome, let me just organize myself. Oh, it's turned to amber. Hang on a minute. Let me take a breath and try again. So it's reacting in the moment. What do you need to do with the horse that's in front of you right now? Okay, why this works. If you listen to your horse and don't view their behavior as disrespect, you're going to be less judgmental. We can be so judgmental with horses, and it's really unfair. They didn't ask to come into this world with us. They didn't ask to be domesticated. They didn't ask to be ridden. They are the most generous species on the planet, and we should treat them as such with respect. So, learning to read those small signs can really help us build a training program for these sentient beings that works for them. And that's what I love to do, is tailor programs for you and your horse, because everybody is different. Every human horse connection is different. Your horse with you is different to how he might be with me or with your partner or whatever. So learn to listen and act accordingly. Recognizing threshold. This is a massive one where people go, I just don't know what happened. It just came out of nowhere. It probably didn't. There were probably signs that this horse was reaching threshold, that his walk had got a little choppy or a little bit quicker, or he planted. There's signs that he's struggling. Okay. And the quicker we can recognize them, the better we can help. So, how you train today determines how they feel tomorrow. Remember, horses learn by association. So, let's make that association a good one. Here, I'm working with a horse that was a semi-feral horse, and I was just letting him get a good association with me. Notice how my hip is cocked closest to him, like inviting him into my space in a soft way. So, we're going to look at this. This is fun. Riding. What colour are we on at the moment? Just pop it into the chat box. Do we think we're a red, an amber, or, oh, I've put red on there twice, sorry, a green, an amber, or a red? Now, when you're riding your horse, things can change really, really quickly. This is Branna. She was very young at this point. She's just 5 years old in this picture, and we probably had about 5 hours under saddle, I think, at this point. So I'm riding her, things look good, but we're getting to amber. I noticed that her head had come a little bit higher. Her ears were starting to radar around a little bit, and her stride was getting a little bit choppier. So there's lots of things you can do in this moment. The first thing that I did was scan myself. The only true thing that we can control is us. So I'm like, relax my belly, bigger belly breaths, relax my butt cheeks, relax my legs, breathe, reassure her. I sometimes like to just push my hand a little bit in front of the saddle onto the wither. I once saw a horse help another horse to stay still and calm by pushing their chin down onto the wither of the horse, and it worked really, really well. So I just gently, quietly massage that area, and that helps her a little bit. So we're in amber. Branna has a very strong red light. So if I'm heading to amber, I want to pay attention to it. That was a definite red. You can see how her tail has lashed off to one side. She is very cross with me. I'm feeling a little emotional because I'm out in an open field on a 5-year-old that's had 5 hours under saddle, and I've hit a red light. It was my fault that we hit the red light. You can also see the muscle tone in the back legs. Okay, you might not necessarily see that as a rider, but as an observer, you can. And if you're riding with someone else, you can help them. The head has come high. Brace. That's the word that springs to mind when I see this. But I want you to notice what I'm doing. I'm taking the brace off the reins to try and help her feel better. Okay, tight mouth, ear back on me, her eye. She was getting crosser, lashing tail. But when I removed the brace, you can see brace in my face and you can see brace in my body, but thankfully my hands are very well trained to go soft. So once I connected back to my breath, I was able to soften my body too. And we were able to return to a more green light. Okay, there's actually a little bit too much tension in my rein there. But in general, you can see she's working in a much softer way here. Muscles are softer. Her tail is just gently lifted. It's relaxed. She's attentive forward. Nostrils are a little bit tight, but that's a single sign. Remember, we want to look at things in a collection. What's the general picture? And the general picture here was I had a green light and she was going on quite nicely there. Okay, so when we're applying this to training, we don't want to meet brace with brace. When you get an amber light and you want to change something, just try changing one thing at a time. You can change something else quite quickly behind it, but just try maybe to take some deep breaths. Is that going to help? Maybe you need to step back a little bit, like I did with a couple of the horses. Maybe you need to slow down. Okay, but don't try and do everything all at the same time, because what I find that does, and I talk to my students about this all the time, it takes you into your head and out of your body. So here I was with Branna, and we definitely worked through the traffic lights. I'm working in a form of what I call zone 5 driving, being behind her. This was helping her learn to be brave and be out in front. You can see there from my body language, I'm reading her signs. I'm listening to her body. Okay. Forget being a horse whisperer, be a horse listener. Listen to what they are telling you in their body. It's how they communicate. It's how these guys all understand each other. So quit on the first and best try. If you're having difficulty and your horse is struggling to give you a green light, quit on the best first try. Excuse me. Reward in the moment, release, rest, scratch, explore. Tell me in the chat box, what's a good reward for a horse? It's not always what you think. 9 times out of 10, we use a really high-pitched voice. Oh, good pony, good pony. And I see the horses go from being relaxed and trying to, whoa, that's too much energy. When we do that with a really high-pitched voice, it spikes us into excitement. Excitement doesn't belong in training with horses. Horses learn by association. Make the association one of calmness. The other thing we always want to do is touch their face, rub their face. Not something usually that they will choose out of time. So I would really, really love to chat to anyone who'd be interested in forming a deeper relationship with their horse, or if you've got specific issues going on. Let me see if I can help you. I would love to talk with you and listen to your story and see how we can help you get unstuck. So it's been an absolute pleasure being here with you today. And yes, as someone's just said, no need to be forceful, no striking or smacking. Absolutely not. We just don't need to. But I can show you ways that are ethical, that align with my values in life, but also help us become unstuck, because you do deserve to be listened to. It's a two-way street with horses. It's not all their way and it's not all your way. So let me help you start to make some changes. And thank you again to the Equine Institute for hosting us. I look forward to talking to some of you on the calls. I have limited availability, so if you're keen to book a call, click on the link. If for some reason you can't make that work, it will work, but you can email me, Andrea at andreawadey.com. I can pop that into the chat box for you. 1 second. And if you just click on it, then you will have it. Andrea at andreawadey.com. I hope this resonated with you. Go and have a new look at your horses. There is so much they're going to share with you, but I can take you even deeper. So book a call, and I really, really look forward to speaking with you soon. Bye, guys. Take care. Thank you.